Again, outside the county government center, I am joined by a familiar face to me, maybe not to this audience, but to me. This is Gary Kirkland. Hi, Gary.
Hi.
You are were the head of the Libertarian Party in San Luis Obispo County. You are?
Yeah.
Okay, but who are you supporting today?
Trump.
Why?
Well, I'm going to tell you a story real quick. One of the reasons I'm supporting him. And at 350 CE now, to be politically correct, on the Rhine River, which was the northern border of the Roman Empire, the Goths, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, and other Gothic tribes were trying to cross the Rhine to get into the empire because behind them the Huns were pushing them out of Asia. And so they were trying to get in. The leader of the Roman Empire, who lived in Constantinople at the time, didn't want to let him in. Didn't have a use for him. But he signed an agreement with the Goths, the leader of the Goths, and they said, okay, the agreement would be that the Goths could cross the Rhine, and by the way, the Romans tried to count the number of people crossing in a few days that they did, and it came up with 200,000 people crossing the Rhine within a week or so. And anyway, the agreement was that the Goths, when they joined the empire, came into it, they would provide soldiers to fight for the Romans in Saudi Arabia, in that area. It wasn't called Saudi Arabia at the time. They were fighting the Arabs down there. They needed soldiers. In return, the Goths would get welfare. And that happened. But the Goths weren't big into serving for the military, so not many of them did. And after 50 years, so we're talking 400 CE, the Romans decided, okay, no more welfare for the Goths. And the Goths repaid the Romans by sacking Rome in 410 and destroying the Western Empire. That's why I'm supporting the idea that you can't have uncontrolled migration into any country and keep that country. And Trump's trying to stop it. Thanks.
So you believe if mass immigration to the U.S. continues and there continues to be welfare at the level there is now, then what's going to happen to America?
The empire will go broke, and we won't have a country anymore. It'll be overrun, and we'll lose country. States will break off. The U.S. will no longer be a country. That's what happened to the Roman Empire.
It's interesting to hear this coming from a libertarian, an avowed libertarian.
You have a right to protect your own property, absolutely, and you don't have a right. People don't have a right to move it. I believe in private property rights, and nobody has a right to come onto my property without my permission. And a country should have the same right.
But in this,
a group of people, a country's a group of people, and they have a right to protect their own property. Absolutely, a group of people is the same as a family, is the same as one individual. They have a right to protect their property. And that's just a private property argument, really. And if you go back and look, I'll go back to the Roman Empire. After the Western Roman Empire collapsed, the Dark Ages, and it took over 500 years to recover from that debacle. That's what would happen to. Why wouldn't people should have a right to protect their own property? And a country's nothing but people. It's the same argument that the corporation's just a bunch of people. And they have a right to be treated as a group of people. So does a country.
All right, I'm going to avoid semantics with you.
Sure.
Given we've got shirts like they're not the same. We're going to avoid semantics.
Sure.
How do you we've got more than 3 years now to look at the Trump presidency.
Right.
How would you evaluate it so far?
So far, it's been fairly good. There's some things I disapprove that he's done, something not. The big advantage of him is he's a businessman. He wants to run the country like a business. One of the things he's doing is, I'm getting all kinds of nasty letters about it, he wants to privatize the post office. Yay, good for him. He wants to privatize all kinds of business. His infrastructure program I don't support unless he does it privately, which I'm all in favor of. If people want an airport, pay for it, build yourself another airport. You don't expect other taxpayers to pay for it.
What about the spending? If he's operating like a business, this business is way in the red, no?
Right. Yes, and that is one where I disagree with him. He said 2 years ago he would never sign another budget that had this much pork in it, and then he did.
But
Yeah, that's wrong.
From your perspective, the immigration issue is an existential matter, and that
True. If it destroys a country, it certainly is an existential argument.
so that trumps.
Well, it is.
Pardon the pun. That trumps the spending issue for you.
Right. There are other issues, but the Democrats are worse, and the Libertarians aren't running anybody that has a prayer. So, yeah, the issue. The Democrats are actually worse than Trump in terms of spending.
Okay, so what would happen if a Biden or a Bernie got elected?
We'd go broke quicker. The deficit would skyrocket. It would be worse than it is now. Trump promises that he's going to cut the budget.
Well, it doesn't sound like you even believe that promise.
I know Democrats won't cut the budget. I know they won't. I don't believe he'll cut the budget. At least there are people out there who claim he's cutting the budget. This coronavirus issue, their claim is he cut the budget for CDC. Good for him. Cut it. Cut their budget. We'll live with it, or we'll die with it. But he should cut their budget. But the Democrats are blaming him now, for cutting the budget, even though from what I read, he tried to cut the budget, and Congress didn't allow it. Congress is in charge of the budget, by the way, not Trump. Trump can propose a budget. It's up to Congress to do. He could sign it, but they create it. And the House, we're all budget here. It's the House that's the problem. Nancy Pelosi.
Any other key issues for today or in the 2020 election cycle as a whole?
Any other issues about Trump?
Key issues. Whether they're Trump related or not.
Yeah. One of the key issues, let me just think for a second, is the appointment of judges. That's a key issue. I've supported judges that Trump has supported because they claim, and hopefully that's true, they're constitutionalists. And what to me, constitutionalism is you don't go outside the Constitution on anything. You don't there's no living, breathing document. It's the document it is that it say, and you stay within it. And like there's a drive right now to extend the deadline for the Equal Rights Amendment. Well, the Equal Rights Amendment isn't equal. It's only for women. It's not equal. It's not for everybody. And I assume the Trump administration is opposing it, and his judges will probably shoot down the idea that you can extend forever a constitutional amendment to change the Equal Rights Amendment. I want a judge that says this is what the Constitution says and you don't go outside it. And Trump seems to support the judges that he is appointing seem to be that they're from the judicial watch or something like that. And I'm all in favor of it. I'm all in favor of the judges. And that's a key issue, appointment of judges.
Any final words on Trump or the election?
Stay resolute.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
Sure. You're welcome.